هنا في العالم. استمعوا إلينا لنقل المعلومات من مصادرها الرسمية وتفسير حي للأحداث في حصص تحليلية مميزة. إذاعة الجزائر الدولية، صوتنا في العالم.
تشاهدون برامج إذاعة الجزائر الدولية بالصوت والصورة عبر تقنية لايف ستريم على صفحات التواصل الاجتماعي فيسبوك، تويتر وقناة اليوتيوب لإذاعة الجزائر الدولية. لمزيد من الأخبار تابعوا radioalgerie.dz/Radio Algérie International.
With Radio Algeria International, you will not miss a single major political or economic event. Radio Algeria International, our voice in the world.
This is the English service of Radio Algeria International. It's time for the news.
The Secretary of State in charge of Foreign Affairs and National Community abroad, Soufiane Chahib, has presided over, together with the President of the High Council of the Arabic Language, Salah Belaid, the ceremony celebrating World Arabic Language Day, organized with the participation of diplomatic and consular representations abroad. The War of Settlement Resistance Commission has said that the establishment of new Zionist settlements in the West Bank constitute a war of extermination on Palestinian geography, calling for an urgent international action to stop this dangerous expansion. The International Organization for Migration has reported in Sudan that more than 107,000 civilians have fled the town of El Fasher and surrounding villages in North Darfur State due to the rapid deterioration of security conditions in the region. Those were the major developments. Now the full news edition. The President of the Republic, Mr. Abdelmajid Tebboune, has received a telephone call from his brother, King Abdullah II, sovereign of the Kingdom of Jordan, during which they exchanged views on the situation in the Arab world and the latest developments in the world. During the telephone conversation, the two parties agreed to a forthcoming meeting to discuss several issues in depth, particularly those of mutual interest. On the occasion, His Majesty the King congratulated the President of the Republic and the Algerian people for the new year, wishing Algeria prosperity and progress. For his part, President Tebboune congratulated his brother the King and the Jordanian people for the same occasion, wishing progress and prosperity to the Kingdom of Jordan. The Secretary of State in charge of Foreign Affairs, the National Community abroad, Soufiane Chahib, has presided, together with the President of the High Council of the Arabic Language, Salah Belaid, the ceremony celebrating World Arabic Language Day, organized with the participation of diplomatic and consular representations abroad. The celebration crowned a full month of cultural, linguistic and educational activities organized for the benefit of children of the national community abroad on the occasion of World Arabic Language Day, during which they demonstrated their attachment to the homeland as well as their pride and strong connection to their cultural and civilizational heritage. In his address, the Secretary of State highlighted initiatives to strengthen Arabic and the progress of 3 Algerian cultural centers abroad.
In this context, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, in cooperation with the Ministry of National Education, has proposed new initiatives in response to the current requirements that the two ministries share. These are initiatives on which we have been working for a long time and which we will continue to develop in the near future. These initiatives aim to strengthen what already exists and to restore the place of the Arabic language in the minds of our children. They will constitute the title and the main axis of this year's conference, which will bear the title Innovative Pathways for the Arabic Language, Policies and Institutions for a More Resilient Linguistic Future. We have also made significant progress in materializing projects related to 3 Algerian cultural centers in several countries where our diaspora has a substantial presence.
He discussed ongoing efforts to organize educational and cultural visits to Algeria for pupils and students from the diaspora to help them learn about their country's history, culture, and civilizational foundations, and Record, a winter university, and a journey of memory visit for children in France who participated in the National Immigration Day competition are planned. For his part, the President of the High Council of the Arabic Language praised the event's distinctive character and the active participation of the global Algerian community, urging them to preserve their cultural and linguistic heritage and welcome the cooperation between his institution and the Ministry of Foreign Affairs to promote the Arabic language among Algerians abroad. The Minister of Environment and Quality of Life, Kawtar Krikou, has inaugurated here in Algiers the National Intersectoral Commission in charge of developing the national strategy for the quality of life during the first national meeting on quality of life held under the slogan National Achievements with Development Challenges. In a statement to the press on the sidelines of the meeting organized under the auspices of Prime Minister Sifir Rieb in cooperation with the United Nations Development Programme, Mrs. Krikou indicated that the first project to be implemented by this commission relates to the Sustainable Pilot School, which will be rolled out nationwide, adding that the sector has launched the National Quality of Life platform in order to strengthen contacts with all sectors for the implementation of various projects aimed at improving the quality of life. Mrs. Krikou stressed that under the leadership of President Tebboune, Algeria has made significant reforms through large-scale projects supporting youth and offering incentives for the national community abroad.
Algeria, under the leadership of Mr. President of the Republic, has carried out major reforms through major structural projects while accompanying and supporting youth and establishing incentives and facilitations for the benefit of the national community residing abroad. These efforts must be consolidated through the action of the National Sectoral Commission for Quality of Life, with digital support via a national platform in charge of ensuring the monitoring of the sustainable implementation of projects currently underway.
The Minister of State in charge of hydrocarbons and mines, Mohamed Arqab, for his part, said that the concept of quality of life is a global and integrated concept which reflects the level of excellence of the social and material services provided to the society, as well as the establishment of an adequate living environment meeting the aspirations of the citizens and reinforcing their well-being and stability. Mr. Arqab stressed that the sector is actively protecting the environment, notably through projects like the Sonatrach initiative, which has resulted in the forestation of over 400 million trees in 10 years, benefiting over 10,000 farmers.
The sector continues its efforts to protect the environment and reduce the carbon footprint through a number of projects, including the afforestation project launched by Sonatrach, which aims to plant more than 400 million trees over 10 years, supporting the social development of over 10,000 farmers, in addition to developing carbon storage and utilization technologies. The sector also seeks to reduce the amount of gas burnt to less than 1%, through measures and procedures implemented to monitor emissions in cooperation with national and international partners. Furthermore, the sector, in cooperation with the Ministry of Environment and Quality of Life, aims to license a circular economy model. Within the framework of modernizing mining activities, we are working to integrate the latest technologies to reduce emissions and transform mines into environmentally friendly sites.
That was the Hydrocarbons and Mines Minister, Mohamed Arqab. Moving into the situation in the Middle East, the World Health Organization, WHO, has stressed that progress was made against famine in the Gaza Strip remains extremely fragile after the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification, IPC, indicated that no area of the territory is currently classified as being in a state of famine. The details in this report by Masoud Sharfi.
WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus explained that these welcome advances remain extremely fragile as the Gaza population continues to face massive destruction of infrastructure, the collapse of livelihoods and local food production, as well as restrictions on humanitarian operations. He warned that in the worst-case scenarios, including a renewal of the conflict and a halt to humanitarian assistance, the entire Gaza Strip could face the risk of famine by mid-April April 2026. He said that more than 100,000 children and 37,000 pregnant or breastfeeding women are expected to still be suffering from acute malnutrition by April next year, while only 50% of health facilities in Gaza are partially functional, facing shortages of essential supplies and equipment. He said that to scale up vital services and expand access to care, WHO calls for the urgent and accelerated approval and entry of essential medical supplies, equipment, and prefabricated hospital structures, while recent developments under the fragile ceasefire, including a proposed peace plan and improved food flows, have helped alleviate the most extreme conditions. The IPC warned that the outlook remains worrying.
5 members of the same family, including 3 women and a child, were killed when their house, weakened by Zionist bombing of the Palestinian enclave, collapsed in the Sheikh Radwan neighborhood in Gaza. Previously, rescue teams had pulled 5 people from the rubble, including a child and 2 women, but difficult conditions and limited equipment prevented the recovery of the remaining martyrs. The civil defense called on residents to evacuate buildings damaged by the Zionist aggression, which are considered uninhabitable, noting that 22 houses had partially or completely collapsed since December 10th amid difficult winter weather conditions, leaving 18 martyrs and 4 missings. And the number of Palestinians killed in the Gaza Strip since the start of the Israeli genocidal war in October 2023 has reached 70,937, the majority of whom are women and children. Local health authorities reported that the total number of injuries has risen to 171,192, with many victims still trapped under rubble and emergency and rescue teams unable to reach them. The chairman of the War and Settlement Resistance Authority, Mouya Chaban, has said that the establishment of new Zionist settlements in the West Bank constitutes a war of extermination on Palestinian geography, calling for an urgent international action to stop this dangerous expansion. Musad Sharfi reports.
Mr. Chaban condemned the cabinet's approval of 19 new settlements in the West Bank as part of the Zionist occupation's systematic policy to erase Palestinian geography, enforce annexation, and prevent a connected Palestinian state. He called it violation of international law and the UN Security Council resolutions and urged for urgent actions taken by the United Nations and the high contracting parties to the Geneva Conventions. He stressed that 750,000 settlers, including 250,000 in East Jerusalem, carry out daily attacks to forcibly displace Palestinians despite long-standing calls by Palestinian authorities to end illegal settlement activity. In this connection, the Secretary General of the Arab League, Ahmed Abul Ghaith, condemned the Israeli occupation's approval to establish the new settlements, describing it as blatant challenge to international opposition and a violation of international law. His spokesperson emphasized that the expansion of illegal settlements aims to prevent a geographically contiguous Palestinian state, and that settler violence constitutes a form of terrorism. Since 1967, the Israeli entity has pursued a long-term colonial settlement policy to undermine the possibility of an independent Palestinian state. The UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres reported a peak this year in settlement activity, with around 47,390 units submitted, approved or tendered, compared to 26,170 in 2024, and condemned the expansion, particularly in East Jerusalem, as fueling tensions, depriving Palestinians of land, and undermining a viable Palestinian state, calling for an immediate halt to all settlement activities. In this regard, Britain condemned the Israeli occupation's approval of the new illegal settlements in the West Bank. The British Minister of State for the Middle East Affairs, Hamish Falconer, stated that these settlements violate international law and undermine prospects for lasting peace through a two-state solution. Since the genocide began in the Gaza Strip on October 8, 2023, the Israeli occupation has intensified its crimes to annex the West Bank, particularly through demolishing Palestinian homes, displacing residents, and expanding settlements.
In the occupied West Bank, the Zionist entity is continuing its blatant aggression on the defenseless Palestinian population with repeated incursions into Palestinian towns and villages, arrests demolitions, seizure of property, cattle theft, and the uprooting of olive trees by Jewish settlers and soldiers. Said Bouhazi has more details.
Zionist occupation forces today closed the iron gate at the entrance to the town of Attara and erected a checkpoint at the entrances to Nabi Saleh and Aboud north of Ramallah. A Wafa correspondent said that occupation troops closed the main entrance to Attara, forcing residents to take lengthy alternative routes to reach their destinations. Occupation forces also erected 2 military checkpoints near the illegal settlement of Halamish, built on land belonging to Nabi Saleh, and at the entrance to the village of Aboud. In the Wadi Qaddum neighborhood of Ras Al Amoud in Silwan, south of the Al Aqsa Mosque, Zionist forces demolished a residential building on Monday morning. Local sources said that the building, which the occupation forces demolished under the pretext of lacking a permit, contained 13 apartments and housed approximately 100 people. In the town of Halhul, north of El Khalid, dozens of Jewish settlers backed by occupation forces stormed on Sunday night the archaeological site of At-Tabaqa. Sources said that settlers stormed the site and performed Talmudic rituals there in the presence of Jewish officials and religious figures amid a wide deployment of occupation forces. Also on Sunday night, Jewish settlers under the protection of the occupation army stormed the site of an evacuated colonial settlement outpost south of Jenin Governorate. Local sources said that buses carrying settlers escorted by soldiers and military vehicles stormed the site of an evacuated colonial settlement outpost known as the former Sanur colony near the town of Jabba south of Jenin, which was evacuated in 2005 in preparation for marking the so-called Hanukkah holiday. Occupation authorities approved last May the establishment of 22 new settlements in the occupied Palestinian territory, including the re-establishment of the Homesh and Tarsala Sanur settlements in Jenin Governorate.
And as mentioned earlier in the headlines, in Sudan, more than 107,000 Sudanese civilians have fled the town of El Fasher and surrounding villages in North Darfur State due to the rapid deterioration of security conditions in the region, according to the International Organization for Migration, IOM. Said Bouhazi has the details.
In a statement released yesterday, the International Organization for Migration said that approximately 107,294 people, or nearly 24,221 families, fled El Fasher and neighboring areas between 26 October and 8 December after the Rapid Support Forces RSF took control of the city amid rapidly deteriorating security conditions. According to the same source, nearly 72% of the displaced remained within North Darfur, mainly in the northern and western parts of the state, while about 19% moved to other states, including Central Darfur, Northern State, and White Nile State. The agency's field teams indicate that approximately 75% of those displaced since 26 October were already displaced within the country, noting that these include populations who had previously fled from large displacement camps such as Zamzam and Abu Shouk, or certain neighborhoods of El Fasher during previous escalations. The International Organization for Migration warned that movement restrictions and persistent insecurity could further limit the mobility of civilians and alter displacement routes depending on developments in the situation on the ground. Ongoing since April 2023, the conflict between the Sudanese army and the RSF has left thousands dead and displaced millions of people.
And with that, we've reached the end of today's news bulletin. Stay tuned on Radio Algeria International.
Hello and welcome to our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. First in the news, the African Energy Chamber has highlighted Algeria's progress in the hydrocarbon sector, notably its regulatory framework governing investment in the sector, stressing that this progress serves as a model for other African countries with oil and gas resources. Algeria, which is already one of Africa's most active oil and gas producers, experienced even greater momentum in 2025, the African Energy Chamber said in an article published on its website, noting that investor confidence in the Algerian energy sector is growing in the wake of a more favorable investment climate made possible by the current hydrocarbons law. The Minister of State Minister of Hydrocarbons and Mines, Mohamed Arkab, has received the Minister of Oil, Mines and Geology of the Republic of Chad, Ndoleno G. Alex Naimbaye, on a working visit to Algeria and discussed with her the prospects for strengthening bilateral cooperation in the field of energy, says a statement from the ministry. On this occasion, the two parties reviewed the state and the prospects for Algerian-Chadian bilateral relations, underlining the fraternal and historical character of these relations, and examined ways to strengthen and expand bilateral cooperation, notably in the fields of hydrocarbons and mines, as part of an approach of strategic and sustainable partnership. The Algerian Farid Ghazali has been officially installed in Brazzaville, Congo, as the new Secretary General of the Organization of African Petroleum Producing Countries, APO, replacing Omar Farouk Ibrahim, whose term of office has come to an end. The handover documents were signed by the outgoing Secretary General and the new Secretary General in the presence of the President of APO Executive Council, Kwame Bienvenu Essay, as part of an organized and responsible transition of leadership within the organization, according to a statement from the Ministry of Hydrocarbons and Mines. On this occasion, Kwame Bienvenu Essay underlined that this installation marks a key step in the process of strengthening the role of the APO in promoting African energy cooperation. In more Algerian economic news, Kamel Moula has been unanimously re-elected in Algiers as President of the Algerian Economic Renewal Council, CREA, for a second three-year term. The only candidate for the presidency of the Council, Kamel Moula, was overwhelmingly elected during the elective General Assembly held at the Abdellatif Rahal International Conference Center, which also saw the election of 18 members of the Executive Council from among 42 candidates. During the General Assembly, the Minister of Labour, Employment and Social Security, Abdelhak Saihi, praised the central role of the CREA in supervising economic operators, underlining that the Council is an essential partner for constructive dialogue and responsible consultation between the public authorities and operators. The Minister of Energy and Renewable Energies, Mourad Ajel, has launched the construction of an 82-megawatt solar power plant in Gerara in the province of Ghardaya. Speaking at the official launch of the project, which covers an area of 200 hectares in the Koudiet Eshouf zone in the municipality of Gerara, 100 kilometers northeast of Gardaya, the minister said that this energy facility will strengthen the province's photovoltaic energy system in addition to creating jobs. He also highlighted the pioneering role of the province of Gardaya in the energy sector, with an autonomy exceeding 1,200 megawatts, including 300 megawatts operated during the summer period, and the connection of some 1,600 farms to the electricity grid. The Minister of Energy and Renewable Energies, Mourad Ajel, has said in Lawat that this province has significant potential to become a promising economic hub. Speaking at a coordination meeting at the provincial headquarters attended by local officials and elected representatives, the minister said that the province's significant economic potential enables it to become a promising hub at the regional and national levels, with great energy potential and an economic infrastructure that opens up broad investment prospects, notably in agriculture, enabling it to contribute to the country's food security and promote its sustainable development. And to wind up our program, the company Algérie Post has launched at the level of its offices in the university spaces open days as part of a promotional campaign for the electronic payment card intended for the new graduates BAC 2025, co-organized with the operator Jazzy, according to a statement from this company. This initiative, held from December 15th to 17th, concerned several provinces of the country and aimed to make students aware of the advantages of the Student Campus Card and how to obtain it and use it within the university campus. During these activities, free SIM cards were distributed by GESI to the new graduates. And with this, we come to the end of our weekly program devoted to Algerian economic news. Goodbye.
Around the world, extreme weather events such as flash floods, heat waves, and wildfires have once again reminded communities of their vulnerability to nature. 2025 has been marked by a series of major natural catastrophes, highlighting the growing exposure of many countries to extreme weather and geological events. Across South and Southeast Asia, extreme rainfall led to some of the deadliest floods of the year. Countries including Indonesia, Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Thailand, and the Philippines endured weeks of heavy monsoon rains combined with tropical storms. Flooding and landslides killed more than 1,600 people, displaced millions, and submerged entire villages. In Indonesia's Sumatra region, landslides alone claimed hundreds of lives. In Pakistan, the annual monsoon once again turned catastrophic. From June to September, rivers overflowed and flash floods swept through towns and farmland. Official figures report over 1,000 deaths, with millions of people affected, particularly in Sindh and Punjab provinces. The Caribbean faced a violent hurricane season. In October, Hurricane Melissa, a powerful Category 5 storm, struck Jamaica and nearby islands with winds exceeding 290 kilometers per hour. The storm caused widespread destruction, left dozens dead, and disrupted daily life for more than 1 million people. UN Resident Coordinator in Jamaica, Dennis Zulu, spoke in a press briefing about the impact of Hurricane Melissa.
Since Hurricane Melissa made landfall and exited Jamaica, leaving behind a trail of destruction without precedent in the country's recent history. Current estimates place total damage and losses between $8 and $15 billion, which is equivalent to nearly a quarter of Jamaica's gross domestic product. The human impact has been profound. More than 626,000 people were affected, 45,000 lives were tragically lost, and while meaningful progress has been made, 90 emergency shelters remain operational today, hosting 942 individuals who have not yet been able to return home, with at least 120,000 buildings, primarily in southwestern Jamaica, losing their roofs, leaving entire communities exposed. The telecommunication networks also collapsed across several parishes, and 5 major hospitals in the southwestern part sustained severe structural damage, placing additional strain on what is already a stressed health system. The education sector was also deeply affected, with more than 450 schools, nearly 2/3 of all institutions nationwide reported damage, ranging from roof loss to full structure failure. This scale of destruction has not only been unprecedented, it has really reversed hard-won development gains in a country that was firmly on a positive social and economic trajectory.
In Asia, seismic activity added to the devastation. A strong earthquake in Tibet, measuring over magnitude 7, struck early in the year, killing more than 100 people and damaging buildings across remote mountain regions, with tremors felt in Nepal and northern India. Meanwhile, Australia experienced severe flooding in Queensland, where prolonged heavy rains caused rivers to burst their banks. At least 30 people lost their lives, thousands were evacuated, and entire communities were isolated for days. 2025 has sent a clear warning. Natural disasters are no longer distant or